A new crackdown on carjackers. To the crime, and you could be doing more than time. Coming up on Fox 11 News. Throughout the Simpson case, the circus outside the criminal courts building has been almost as interesting as the trial itself. Tony Valdez has the sidewalk perspective on today's session.
They began lining up early for a chance at the daily lottery for the small handful of courtroom seats available to the public.
I want to see the trial before it's over. I'm hoping for a complete acquittal.
I want to get in and see Marsha's opening statement. Because I think that she's a good role model.
The same's been said of Clark's opponent, Johnny Cochran, who arrived with bodyguards provided by the Nation of Islam Security Service. Cochran is reportedly concerned about his personal safety, a concern obviously not shared by his law partner Carl Douglas and Simpson attorney Robert Kardashian. They walked several steps behind Cochran without any protection.
I came from Omaha to try to insert this into the picture, to give this to Cochran. This is a spiritual defense.
It's based on a biblical story about a man who lied under oath and then immediately fell dead. Elsewhere outside, two men carried placards expressing sympathy for the jury.
Maybe the judge or Johnny Cochran or somebody let them know.
And you'll be satisfied no matter what verdict the jury comes back with?
Yeah, I'll be satisfied.
You came all the way from Omaha?
Omaha, Nebraska.
For this?
That's right.
There was another man here with messages.
You can draw.
Let's see. Marcia is bitching, Johnny's all right, and Ito rules. What are you trying to tell us?
Well, I'm just laying down the way of the world, I guess, as we've learned it to be in this trial. We got both sides in the middle here, politically safe and correct.
And these are what, bumper stickers?
Yeah, I had one for Furman, but I was too frightened to print it up.
So I'm saying if O.J. can say, in the name of Jesus Christ, I did not commit the murders, see, now we're bringing in the invisible. We're bringing God into the picture, and now society can look back and say, well, hey, if he didn't fall over dead, it's saying something.
No word on whether the evangelist got past Cochran's bodyguards to give him the new strategy. In downtown Los Angeles, Tony Valdez, Fox 11 News.
We have a lot more coming up on the Simpson trial in just a bit. At 11 o'clock, stay tuned for the O.J. Simpson trial, the day in review. That'll be a full-hour wrap-up with expert analysis. Again, that's at 11 o'clock following our newscast. Still to come tonight on the newscast, the suspects charged in the wrong-turn murder of Stephanie Kewen make their first appearance before a judge.
Police in Orange County are looking for a man who raped a teenage girl after kidnapping her from in front of a busy shopping center.
A wild ride through 3 counties as police chase a stolen car full of girls.
And investigators are going airborne to unravel the mystery of last year's terrible plane crash near Pittsburgh.
I'm Greg Ketter. A wet wake-up call for the Southland this morning, but what about tomorrow? Are we expecting another messy morning drive? Find out in Fox 11 Weather.
Fox 11 News brought to you by 3M.
2 alleged gang members made their first court appearance today, officially charged with killing a Cypress Park toddler. Lawyers for 23-year-old Marcus Luna and 18-year-old Marvin Peck shielded their clients from the media as the judge charged the 2 with murder and attempted murder in a gang ambush killing of 3-year-old Stephanie Kewen. Each is being held on a $3.5 million bail. Prosecutors say 2 other murder suspects, both just 18 years old, will be arraigned tomorrow. Meanwhile, tonight in Cypress Park, residents gathered at Aragon Elementary School to try and help heal community outrage over that tragic murder involving Stephanie Kewen.
We all have children in this community, and I think every family felt it. And I want to show you that we do have a lot of good people in Cypress Park, and we do care about the kids. The kids are our main thing here.
The meeting was set up to let residents voice their concerns about the community and to help vent some of their grief.
Now the latest on that 12-year-old boy who was shot in a freeway ambush last Friday night. Richard Bautista remains in critical but stable condition at the Martin Luther King Medical Center. Bautista was shot in the head when he was returning from a Dodger game with his cousin and a friend for no apparent reason. An eyewitness reportedly called police last night with information, but apparently had a change of heart and refused to talk to detectives investigating the case. Police in Montclair are continuing their investigation into the murder of a Snap-on Tools man. Police say Hans Van Dieren was beaten to death on his work route sometime last night. Friends of the 25-year-old employee found him dead in his company van. The search for the Snap-on tool worker was started after Van Dieren's wife failed to receive a customary phone call from her husband.
Orange County police are on the lookout this evening for a knife-wielding rapist. His victim, a teenage schoolgirl, and perhaps still more shocking is where this assault took place. Bernard Gonzalez has a story.
This busy Westminster shopping center is the last place you'd expect a rape in broad daylight. But it happened to a 16-year-old girl on her way home from school, forced into a car by a knife-carrying suspect that police are on the lookout for.
It's really tragic when something like this happens, and I think all of us are pretty concerned about it. We're doing our best to keep our eyes open and try to gain information about it.
Information police hope will lead to this suspect. He's described as dark-skinned, possibly Hispanic, 20 to 30 years old, about 5'5", weighing approximately 150 pounds, with a scar under his left eye. The victim says he was driving a black, late 60s model, four-door American-made sedan. The suspect brought his young victim back here behind the shopping center into an alley, where police say he raped her at knife point. When he was through, he simply threw her out onto the asphalt to deal with all of this alone and scared. The victim is a student at La Quinta High School. Over the public address system, administrators warn students to stay alert.
We'd like to have you be especially cautious, female, for all students to be cautious. Today, we were told the individual that is the suspect is apprehended.
We're concerned if someone would do this at that hour of the day and with that many people in the shopping center that they need to take extra precaution.
Precautions like walking in groups or having parents pick up their kids.
That's sad because, I don't know, it's scary.
If you know this suspect or have seen him, Westminster Police ask that you call them before he strikes again. In Westminster, Bernard Gonzalez, Fox 11 News.
A strong message today from Governor Pete Wilson. Commit murder during a carjacking and pay with your life. Flanked by law enforcement officials and crime victims, the governor signed legislation calling for the death penalty for criminals who commit murder during a carjacking.
We cannot continue to experience this kind of random violence. There has to be an end to it. Decent people should not have to live in fear.
The governor also used last week's murder of 3-year-old Stephanie Kewen here in Los Angeles to push for changes that would make carrying out the death penalty easier.
A suspected car thief led CHP officers on a 2-hour chase from Montebello to San Diego County early today. That pursuit began just after the suspect allegedly struck a Montebello police officer. The officer was not hurt, but the suspect was able to escape, heading south in the stolen car. Authorities finally got the upper hand, though, by using a spike strip to flatten the suspect's tires. And police say 3 teenage girls were behind another high-speed chase that stretched across 3 Southland counties. One that started around midnight in San Bernardino County when a police officer in Colton spotted the young suspects in a stolen vehicle. The girls eventually surrendered, but not before leading authorities on a half-hour chase through Riverside and Orange counties.
Fire has taken a major toll at a landmark Newport Beach dining spot. No one was hurt in this morning's blaze at the Villanova restaurant, but the flames fully engulfed the 2-story building, forcing firefighters into a battle that lasted more than 90 minutes. The cause of the fire still under investigation, but early indications are it started in the kitchen. Flames continue to rage out of control in a desert wildlife fire near Cabazon. 2,500 acres of brush and bush have been destroyed. Strong gusty winds and fog have kept firefighters and firefighting aircraft from getting a handle on the blaze. Officials say arsonists started the fire yesterday. There are no reports of any injuries or structural damage here.
Still ahead tonight, a prominent prosecutor is gunned down and police think it may have been a gang hit.
Also ahead, Judge Ito can try to turn off the camera, but there's little he can do about the media crush that's turned out for closing arguments in the Simpson trial.
Plus, residents of an East Austin neighborhood are forced to flee when a warehouse fire sends out toxic fumes, and firefighters are told to stand by and watch.
And more than a year after that disastrous plane crash near Pittsburgh, investigators take to the skies to see for themselves what happened.
Fox 11 News is brought to you by First Interstate Bank.
Federal investigators are taking to the sky. They're hoping to figure out why a U.S. air flight crashed near Pittsburgh last year, killing all 132 people on board. One theory is that turbulence from a plane flying ahead of the jet may have deflected the rudder. That may have sent the plane crashing uncontrollably into the ground. Today was spent trying to recreate conditions at the time. 20 hours of in-flight studies will be conducted this week. A terrifying night for people living in a neighborhood in East Austin, Texas. 90 people had to be evacuated from their homes when a warehouse filled with fertilizer and pesticides caught on fire, sending a cloud of toxic fumes into the sky. The blaze also created a frustrating situation for firefighters who were told the safest course of action for them was let the fire burn itself out.
The hardest part for a firefighter is to actually stand there and watch something burn, even though we know that that's the best aspect of how to put one of these or how to control one of these type fires. It's still real tough on a firefighter.
Fortunately, nobody was hurt in the blaze, which did destroy the warehouse. The cause of that fire is unknown.
Police in Boston are looking into the shooting death of a prosecutor who was also a member of an anti-gang task force. Paul McLaughlin was killed as he was walking to his car after getting off a commuter train last night. Witnesses say a teenager in a hooded shirt walked up to McLaughlin, shot him in the face, then escaped down the train tracks. Police have no suspects but are looking into the possibility that it was related to one of McLaughlin's cases. A dramatic turn of events in the case of the murdered Central Park jogger. Investigators are back to square one after releasing Adolfo Martinez. He had been the prime suspect in the murder of Maria Montero Alves. Martinez told police he witnessed the murder.
I'll stay right there.
Did you see it all happen?
Oh, yeah.
Did he attack her? Did he rape her?
He raped him, beat him up, and hit him over the head.
Martinez claims that Alves' real killer tried to frame him for the murder.
Emotional testimony today on Capitol Hill from a friend of white separatist Randy Weaver. He says federal agents lied about the deadly siege at Weaver's cabin in Ruby Ridge, Idaho. U.S. Marshals say they were ambushed while preparing to arrest Weaver on weapons charges 3 years ago, but Kevin Harris says he and Weaver were hiking when the agents ambushed them in a hail of gunfire, killing Weaver's wife and 14-year-old son.
And walked down. They killed Sam and Vicky and almost killed Randy and I. And we were afraid that if we came outside, they'd finish us all off. So we stayed inside.
Harris says federal agents did not identify themselves until after the shooting was over.
As the O.J. Simpson trial crawls to a close here in this country, Italian prosecutors today kicked off their own so-called trial of the century. The defendant in that case is this man, former Prime Minister Giulio Andreotti. He's accused of being a political godfather for the mafia. Like the Simpson case, Andreotti's trial is attracting international attention amid tight security. However, the presiding judge there has opted not to allow live television coverage. In Okinawa, more than 1,000 angry residents are protesting a violent crime allegedly carried out by 3 U.S. servicemen. They're suspected of abducting, then raping a 12-year-old girl. Protesters marched, presenting a long list of problems to U.S. officials.
I accept this letter, and I will forward it up the chain of command. I want to apologize to the family, the victim, and the Okinawan people.
Many protesters believe the U.S. eventually will be forced to pull out of Okinawa.
A sense that peace may finally be at hand appears to be sweeping across the capital city of Bosnia-Herzegovina. That feeling was heightened by the release of 17 Bosnian POWs. They were exchanged for an equal number of prisoners being held by the Bosnian Serbs. Upon their return to Sarajevo today, the soldiers were given a hero's welcome and reunited with their families. Scientists continue to keep a cautious eye on New Zealand's Mount Ruapehu. The volcano first erupted in a spectacular explosion of steam and ash on Saturday. It is currently in a quiet period, but scientists warn that the danger may be a long way from over. It could get much worse. Residents in the rugged North Island region around the mountain still don't seem overly concerned. After all, their volcano has erupted several times in the past 50 years.
Back here at home, don't worry if you wake up to some gloomy skies tomorrow. Greg Ketter says things will get better. Forecast is coming up.
Also, from law students to OJ junkies, Southland residents are glued to the television sets as closing arguments get underway.
Plus, local researchers make a discovery they hope will lead them one step closer to a cure for AIDS.
And it was the show he waited 100 years to do. Now George Burns says he may not be able to do it.
In case you've missed it, this was the day closing arguments began in the O.J. Simpson trial. Prosecutor Marcia Clark was first up. She laid out a timeline of events on the night of the killings and took great pains to distance the prosecution case from Detective Mark Furman. After Marcia Clark, Prosecutor Chris Darden recounted Simpson's past history of domestic violence. Judge Ito also stirred the pot on this opening day. He briefly blacked out the trial to television. That came after the pool camera zoomed in on a note Simpson was writing to his attorneys. When Judge Ito briefly shut down courtroom coverage, some people were saying it's about time. It's no secret that the media has been as much a part of this trial as the attorneys. Barbara Schroeder was in the middle today of the media frenzy.
teen porn. It's all over California. What's being done to stop this teen porn invasion? Fox 11 News investigates Monday at 10.